First and foremost, how does it feel to come at JDDA?
I mean, I'm used to speaking and, hopefully inspiring people. So maybe I can make a difference this afternoon.
It was a very straightforward and diplomatic answer. So tell us about yourself. Where did you study? How did you arrive to where you are today?
My first year of college, well, last year of high school actually was in Florence in Italy, studying Renaissance art history and modern European art history. And then after that, I didn't really know what I wanted to do when I was having dinner with Zaha Hadid in London. And my father had been an architect who'd studied under World Gropius at Harvard and was head of urban planning in Kuwait. So she said, why don't you do architecture? So I applied to the Architectural Association, got in, did that for 3 years, hated it, then came to India, worked in the fashion industry for 2 years. And that's when Sabyasachi and everyone was still starting out. It was so long ago. And then I moved to Central St. Martin's and I got a degree in fashion, worked with McQueen and worked with John Galliano and started my own line.
It's all the names that students really read and learn. Their thesis, their projects, their references are these legendary designers. And to have worked with them, what is different?
Everyone thinks it's a walk in the park. I remember having 102 fever and arriving at a photo shoot at 7 o'clock in the morning and working from 7 in the morning till 4 in the morning with 102 fever, and then walking home in the snow, freezing in Paris. So it's always, it always was glamorous on the outside, but it's a lot of hard work on the inside. And it's a lot of dedication. It's a lot of sacrifice, but it's super interesting and fulfilling because you learn a lot. I guess from like every experience, you take away whatever you put into it.
You said sacrifice. I want students to know the fun behind this sacrifice. There's a lot of process that is involved. What is your say on the fun behind this sacrifice?
I think the one thing that everyone here needs to recognize is it's always scary. It's always hard work. It's always a question of, oh my God, like, is this going to work out? Anyone who tells you they're not scared, even like to the biggest people. I work with all the big companies. I know all the big designers, all the big artists, and everyone is always scared and everyone is always taking risks and everyone is always putting themselves on the line. It's a process, and it's a process of self-discovery and it's a process of sacrifice. So as long as you're authentically immersed in it, you stand to gain a lot. But in case anyone thinks that it's a walk in the park and, oh, I'm going to start working and I'm going to make a name for myself, that's not how it works. You really have to put in the hours and you really, really, really have to prove more than to the world, to yourself, that you can break the boundaries that you thought you had to the next levels.
You've studied at Central St. Martin's. You've studied your fashion over there. What is different over there?
Well, I mean, the thing is, being in Central St. Martin's wasn't so hard. It was getting into Central St. Martin's that was really, really hard because when I left architecture, I was on a scholarship and I told my parents, I'm like, oh, I'm going to go and study at Central St. Martin's. And they were like, are you insane? They take like 300 students out of 26,000 people. And I'm like, no, I'm going to do it. And I remember trying to get into that fashion program. They distilled it down, and like even within Central St. Martin's, they only, I think, took 35 people, and the rest of the year was from people from abroad. And I remember I would work all night and I would drink coffee and then I would shower, get dressed and go straight to class. Like I wouldn't sleep, and then I would come back and sleep after reviews and all. But it was a lot of late nights. You knew you were up against the best. And the thing is, if you're up against the best, you don't have any room to sort of screw around because you're the one that's going to end up looking like an idiot at the end of the day because you're going to fall flat on your face. And the thing is, it's like, how badly do you want it? Not just students here, but professionals here, they don't challenge themselves enough and they don't understand what the competition is like in the real world. And I think because of Instagram, it's kind of given everyone this insane self of importance and, oh, if I have followers or if I have a voice and an opinion, it counts. It doesn't count. Unless you're inspiring people, it doesn't count. And if you're not inspiring, why will people be inspired by you? And if people are not inspired by you, why will they give you a choice? Why are you going to get where you need to go in the world? They're just not. And there are no shortcuts to it. I mean, it's little things like I'm here for work and I happen to be here and they asked me and they said, please come to the show, please come for the award ceremony. And I was like, I don't have time for that. I need to go back. There are consultancies I'm working on. I got on a flight tomorrow. I have a million projects coming up, so, and everyone sees the parties I go to, the glamorous people, picture Dua Lipa, this celebrity, that person. And that's great, but that's not the reality behind it. The reality behind it is like, I'm exhausted and want to stay home, but okay, you know what, I'll go into it. So I think it really is finding that inner voice and that inner balance and that drive to say, I'm going to go out and I'm going to be focused enough to chase what I want. And once you build up your repertoire and become that person, people, they gravitate towards you like a moth to a light, and people recognize that within yourself, but there's no faking it.
But on that note, I try to give a huge round of applause for what you said, because when you can't inspire, there's nothing, right? So very well said, guys. You have a round of applause for this part. Yeah, you work with McQueen, Galliano. Yeah, what are the challenges?
Actually, the challenges are not always the people at the top. The challenges are usually the middlemen, because those are the people who, whose jobs you're probably wanting to get, or they're the ones with the smaller minds that want to abuse their authority, and it's a question of trying to get past that. It was different because it was more glamorous. It was, you had like, I remember there was like Rahane, one of her singles at the Galliano show. In fact, I used to be their favorite intern. And they told all the interns at that point, oh, for this show, no one has to work. I was so excited. And my brother was visiting and I was like, why don't you come to the show? And the Olsen twins, and like everyone was there. 20 minutes before the show, they called me and they were like, you come here. And I was like, what? They were like, we have a jewelry brand that we forgot our sponsors. So you need to like deal with the jewelry. And I was like, but I don't understand. I'm like in my Abercrombie and French hoodie and like trousers. And I'm like, oh, well, what do you want me to do? They're like, oh, put it on whoever you want the models, just make sure it's out there. And I'm like, I don't understand. There's no system here. But I remember going, okay, and I took a piece of paper, $1 million, $2 million worth of jewelry, and the CEO of the company was petrified. He didn't know what was going on. I didn't know what was going on. So I went and I put the jewelry in all these models and I put their name and I do what I thought it was. And as they came in, I was just taking it off them and putting them into my hoodie pockets. And at one point, I think I had like $1 million or $2 million worth of jewelry in the pockets. And this guy was standing there horrified. And then I went and I put it back. And he went and spoke to Sydney Toledano, who was the head of Dior at the time. I was like, oh my God, this guy is amazing. And he's like, yeah, that's why we gave it to you. And it's just a question of like, okay, troubleshooting. You're there, you have a problem, which, by the way, it carries on into design. A lot of the times, if you ask designers, they're going to tell you, oh, we are actually mavericks at solving problems. And it's from design and from problem solving, that is where you actually, some of your best work comes from. And it's like, if you are able to solve a problem for other people and for yourself, that is going to take you the furthest it will in the world. Like if you look at anyone Gray, they found the gaps in the market and they were able to fill those gaps, which made them successful. But like Steve Jobs and the iPod. And then, I mean, like, we grew up, and when I grew up, and it was like before phones, before any of that, and you had like the VHS and you had the Betamax before that. And now, even Apple TV, you used to download everything and it was on your Apple TV.
Correct.
And now it's on my TV. And I'm like, well, where are all these movies? And they're like, no, if it's not on your platform, you can't watch it. I'm like, but what if I want to watch this movie? And you can't buy it anymore because they've controlled the market so much. So, I mean, I'm not going off on a tangent, but what I'm saying is if you solve those problems and see where the opportunities are, that is what is really going to propel you and take you really far in your professional career and also within other people's eyes. Because if you're solving a problem for someone, they're going to be like, oh my God, this is amazing. This makes my life so much easier. This person is amazing.
What is that one advice that you would like to give to the fashion students? Also with fashion, we have the interior students over here. We start with fashion.
Okay, so for the fashion students, 1, you're not going to make it big overnight. Forget it. 2, if you want to succeed, you need to look at your business. You need to look at your incomings and your outgoings. You need to plan financially. If the fabric costs this much and then we have to manufacture it and we need to put it together, what is the end result? How do we utilize what we have as best as we can? The first year I made $100,000 mistake, and it's not like someone gave me the $100,000. I earned it. And then, Manolo Blahnik, a sister who was running the company at the time, said, I'm going to give you a bit of advice. Like footsteps, put one foot in front of the other and slowly, slowly, slowly make it. This is one thing I have learned as I've grown older and worked. If you really want to go far, you need to take the baby steps and do what's right for you, because people will always push you and want to take what they can get from you. And you will also want to do way more than you're capable of. You need to gather yourself and see what's right for you and what's right for your business. Slowly and diligently make your mark one step at a time. Don't try and rush and be like, I want to be on every magazine and I want to be everywhere, because you're not able to do it, and people are not able to do it. So that would be my biggest piece of takeaway and advice, because it'll save you a lot of time, a lot of money, and a lot of heartache.
Very, very well said. What is your definition of define emotion of success?
I think success is being able to work in the manner you want to, at the pace that you want to, creating and forming synergies with the way you want to, giving back to the world in any way that inspires people, that inspires yourself. I'm hugely into craft. I'm hugely into sustainability. And how do you take and mar both of those things to make that real difference? So I spend a lot of my time doing that. Being able to exercise, being able to spend quality time with the people that I love, or just reading, or just doing what I want to do. I mean, that's my definition of success.
But apart from design and fashion, what is that one thing that Tahir Sultan loves?
If you ask my driver, to party till 10 o'clock in the morning. No, I love research. I love researching, and I love going out and finding ways to reinterpret design. I mean, I really am a workaholic when it
But
comes
that's
down to
again
it.
related to design and
I
what
mean,
you
the
do.
thing is,
Yeah.
I work all the time, right? So I have my food business, I have my solo art practice, I have my design business. So what I really love doing is I am a workaholic,
Correct.
essentially. So that's what I do. And yes, I do go out, I do have fun, I do read, I do all of those things. But
We're just having a conversation in the auditorium when we met. These days finding interns is very difficult, and finding the right intern is also very difficult. Y'all will not agree with me because y'all are the intern stage, yeah. But from our end, when we try and recruit students or designers or freshers, y'all are not ready to work. All what y'all want to do is 9 to 5, as you mentioned. All what y'all want to do is have a nice time, have a nice Uber ride to your work, not use the metro tube, something like that. So, what is your take on the level of interns back in your time and the level of interns today, and also the intellectual ability? Yeah, what is your take on that?
well, I think because of the phone and because of this false sense of, if I look at a few images, I've done my research, uh, people don't actually have any real depth, and they think they know what they're doing, and they come into not just my sphere, but most people's spheres, and they just don't have the abilities, they don't have the structure, they don't have the work ethic, they don't understand what it's like to work. And the thing is that I don't know why or how people have suddenly moved from, oh, we work, to, oh, if I can get by and do it, then I'll get by and do it, because without the work, it doesn't happen. And there's so many people that I meet, and there's so many people that I work with. And I was like, I just rather do it myself or hand it to one on my team, because nobody is really hungry anymore. And I thought it was just me. And then I spoke to my friends, and it just, there aren't people. And if I was really going to give you guys advice, whatever you do, take it. Take whatever preconceived notions you have, really study what you're doing, gain more knowledge about the profession you want to go into, start becoming passionate about what your research is, and then go forth to try and work with people, because otherwise you're just not going to get very far. Really, you're not. And it's really difficult to find people to work. So, I mean, few people can heed this advice and stand out. It'll take you very, very far in your lives.
What are your inspirations? When I talk about Tahir Sultan, what are your inspirations? I'm very curious to know what your mood boards look like.
Okay, when the first thing I do when I land in a city that I love is I go to all the museums, I research the art shows, I go to the really good restaurants, I explore the street food, I go to the antique markets. I immerse myself in the culture to try and learn about it, to try and understand a different perspective and a different point of view. So for me, my inspiration comes from other cultures, but in this culture, say when I'm always looking at what's going on around me, how are people dressed, how do they design, how do they live, how are they interacting with the world? And I sort of use all of that and the very mundane things in life to put together a virtual mood board that I can then sort of inspire myself.
What is your take on digital world and the world that we've studied in? So how different?
Okay, so recently there was this person that I was working with that created all these things on AI, and they were like, "Look at this." I was like, "None of this technically works. None of this technically works." I had to go and I had to sit with the AutoCAD architectural guy, and we had to figure out the physics of it, because you can take all this digital manipulation and you can immerse yourself in it and you can create stuff. But if it doesn't really work, like if you have a chair and it looks great, but if it's not going to sit and support your way or anyone else's way, what is the point of designing it? So I think there is still a massive, massive gap where people are like churning out these designs on AI. And I'm like, but this doesn't work. That doesn't work. That doesn't work. And then I look and there's so many people that are like, oh, I'm inspired by this image and this image and this image, and even clients. And I'm like, none of this exists. None of these images are real. These are all AI generated. So basically you're wanting to interact with an imaginary world, and what you're asking for is imagination, whereas that staircase is not going to look like that because it can't actually gravitationally work that way. So, I mean, it definitely has its drawbacks. It's great if you want to expand your mind to think, but then it has to be brought down and into the realms of what actually physically works.
We talk about cotton and silk. We have cotton, who people claim that it's sustainable, and silk again it harms nature. Well, what is your say on what is sustainable actually? It is cotton or silk? For me, it's silk because it lasts longer. Yeah. So what is your take on that?
The whole thing about fashion and sustainability, there's this huge argument, because the thing is, it's how much water does it take, who's harvesting and how is it being harvested the way it's harvested. So I don't think it's a cotton versus silk. I think it's the process in which it's being produced or manufactured. There's something really interesting. Do you know that the highest levels of testicular cancer come from people that work in cloth?
Yeah.
And I was shocked. And I was like, I don't understand. A doctor told me, he said, because the microfibers that have plastics in it that you don't see, you're constantly inhaling. And those microplastics from the fibers and the plastics are also going into the oceans. So people don't realize that fashion is actually one of the most polluting industries. So when it comes to sustainability, it really is about, if you're growing your cotton and it's all natural and you're hand spinning it and you're naturally dyeing it, then obviously that's a sustainable practice. Whereas if you're using machines and replacing people with industrial methods and, putting chemicals into rivers and so forth. So,
yeah. Now, moving on to the last question we have for you. What is done with the best advice you have ever received? And something about your mentors. Now, how strict were they? If not strict, what was that motivation which kept you going forward?
the best advice there are two things. One is, I have a friend of mine that works in art and she's a critic. And she said to me, when you take a pebble and you throw it into a still pond, it makes ripples, and as the ripples grow, they become bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. And she said, never underestimate what you do because it has a ripple effect, and you don't know where that and how far and wide reaching that one little, so either it's effort or action or word or work or piece that you create, you never know what the outcome is going to be because the ripple effect is so huge. So that was a really good piece of advice. The other piece of advice that I received was about authenticity. Most people want to be other people. Listen, everyone else is taken. The best you can do is be yourself and be true to yourself and know your limitations and inspire yourself and go out and be the best version of yourself, because when you work on yourself, then you really shine. You know, everyone else is everyone else. So if you're authentic and you bring to the table a voice that is yours, you bring to the table something that's unique, something that you believe in, something that inspires you, you can't bullshit that. That's there, and you hold your own. And if you're able to hold your own, then you will be able to hold the attention of other people. And if you can do that, that following, it sort of grows and grows and grows and grows. And the third thing is, no matter how big you get in the world, I mean, I think that you need to also keep yourself in check and be humble and try and improve society and care and really try and make a difference and see how you can make the world a better place through your design or through your skill sets or through the person that you are. And I think those three things will take you very, very far in life.
Yeah. Can you just tell me about your practices right now? And you have abundance of experience. How have you evolved in your practice?
I mean, I'm constantly evolving in my practices, and I'm constantly pushing myself, and I'm constantly terrified because I'm so out of my depth in terms of the knowledge and skill set that I have to create these new products that I want to. I mean, I keep challenging my boundaries and my team's boundaries or people, and I'm like, we can do this. And they were like, but can we? And I'm like, yeah, why not? And what's the worst that's gonna happen? So you guys, there was this famous story where Bill Gates used to say, oh, we named DOS 153, the first Windows operating system, DOS 153. And most people don't know why it was named DOS 153. It's because the first 152 versions failed. And the thing is that there's no such thing as a failure. If you do something and it doesn't work, you learn to lesson. If someone else is going to tell you, oh, you failed, they're idiots. That's bad on them. And they have a bad outlook on life, because you took the risk. You were brave enough to take that step. You were brave enough to actually engage and dedicate to what you wanted to do. And if it doesn't work, okay, it doesn't work. That's within you. So there's no such thing as a mistake. It's just a step. And unless you make the mistakes, those mistakes are your steps to becoming famous, to becoming, a master of your craft. So yeah.
Yeah, it was a lovely conversation. It was something that was very unique to our years, honestly. In Glamour, 2 days of event, 4th and 5th of August. All we've done is glamour, Bollywood, fun stuff, flash mob, and all of those things. It's really nice for us, faculties, and of course the students, to have something which is really to the point and to what they're studying, right? And actually what is applicable to their careers.
Well, I mean, the thing is with glamour is, okay, you put on clothes and you put on diamonds and you dance till 5 in the morning or 10 in the morning. And then what happens when you take off the clothes and the music ends and you go to bed and you wake up the next day? Like, what is it that fulfills you? Right? I mean, you have to find what fulfills you. And the thing is that you will never understand, and you people will never see until you reach and interact with them. Most of these people that you see are very unfulfilled. It's the ones that work, the ones that let me put it like this. We all strive hard to find our gift. We all have a gift. What you should be doing with your gift once you discover it is to give it away to other people,
Correct.
to make them be able to understand their potential so that they can grow in the world. I mean, it's beauty magazines. So for beauty magazines, you take models, everyone wants to be thin. And there are all these girls and they're like dieting, or now everyone's on Ozempic and they want to be this thin, but it takes a makeup artist, an assistant, a hairstylist, an assistant, a dresser, a photographer's assistant, a lighting assistant, a stylist, and a set designer. That's 10 people to get that photograph. And then you have the 11th person, which is the person that's editing the photograph to make you look thin, because people are not that thin. So everything is an illusion. And people have, again, because of Instagram, so willingly bought into this illusion. That is not the way life is. And you know what? It's okay if you're not the thinnest person in the room. And it's okay if you're not the smartest person in the room, because actually, if you are the smartest person in the room, you're in the wrong room. You should always surround yourself with people who are smarter than you, more successful than you, challenge you. You know, it's okay, and learn how to accept criticism. And if you're at fault, you can say, yeah, I'm at fault. Or if there's a situation that goes wrong, you should be able to say, okay, where was I wrong in this and how do I learn from it? Because at the end of the day, the race is only with yourself. It's not with other people. Who cares? Who cares about other people? You're the one that goes to go to bed with yourself. You're the one that has to wake up. You're the one that instills the values within yourself and your inner circle. And again, it goes back to, if you can inspire your inner circle to change, to be better, those people will inspire other people. And it's like that ripple effect and the pebble in the water. But I mean, try and make that difference, because to just go out and say, I want to be fabulous and I want to be someone, well, what does that even mean? Like, you know, unless you have something to bring into the world that can be born and grow, it's not going to happen.
Amazing. It was lovely speaking to you. Do we have any questions again? Yeah. Oh, now we have questions. Yeah. Okay. Yes.
Where do you find yourself at your creative best? I know it's hard to fix sometimes.
I am scared all the time. I am scared all the time. I don't look it. People don't get it. When you're at your creative best and you are so far out of your own left field, I'm scared all the time. I mean, it's as simple as that. If you are creating something new and you are not sure about where it's going to go, how it's going to be created, how are the timelines, and it's constantly, by the way, even with the biggest companies I work with, everyone is always looking at budgets and timelines and trying to like get it together. So, I mean, for me personally, I'm scared all the time. And in being scared all the time with this girl, I got past the bullshit. I was like, I don't care anymore. Like, I don't care what people think. And I don't want to be that person that's not approachable. And I don't want to be that person. I mean, you know, yes, I know I look good. Yeah, I know I dress well. Yeah, I know all of these things because I work out 2 hours a day. I take care of myself. But how, again, it goes back to authenticity. Like, you know, like how do I strive and drive? It's because I'm scared. So I'm not worrying about all of that stuff there. I'm worrying about what's going on and how that's going to be made in time and how it's going to look and how I'm going to bring the project together. Not even how the project is going to be received. It's like one thing at a time. And like, it's not one thing, it's like 500 million things at a time. And they're all running in the same sphere, because remember, I do art, I do food, I do interiors, I do fashion, I do uniforms, I do consultancy. So it's always these balls in the air. And I mean, it's just a question of getting, you know, getting down to brass tacks and doing the work and worrying about the things that actually matter rather than the stuff that doesn't matter.
Guys, a huge round of applause for such an amazing experience. Thank you. You know, this actually gets us going. And honestly, this is something, as a director of an institute, you know, all what I want is, you know, your experience to pass on. And I'm hoping to believe that a lot of students present over here have actually grasped what they want to, or what they should, rather importantly. So thank you so much, sir. Well, thank you so much for gracing the occasion and being a part of JD podcast. Thank you so much, guys. A huge round of applause for Tahir Sultan. Thank you.